That's your question, right? Do we agree? I'm talking. I just answered your question when I said keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Bring that out. That's why you got a mic. All right. I'm here to edify, brother. You asked me a question, I answered your question. Now, if my answer to your question does not suffice them, let them speak for it. All right? I answered your question. I answer went over your head, brother, and I don't know what else to tell you. So the law, statutes, and commandments said that if you keep the law, that the pestilence is such as one disease will not cleave unto you. Bring it on! Now, we're ready to break that down for you, brother. Keep God's law, and you won't have no trouble. It's because they didn't listen, they don't. It's the gospel, Hebrews, and the truth in verse number 15. All the living God, who will feel dead, and all their lifetime subject to pardon. See? Deliver us from heart disease. Because we kept the law, statutes, and commandments, Lord, don't let heart disease come up on me. Don't let doubt come up on me. Don't let diabetes come up on me. Don't let asthma come up on me. All right? Don't let sickle cell anemia overtake me, Lord. That's the answer to your question. Fear the Lord, keep his law, statutes, and commandments, and live. Take the feeling and verse number 7. I ain't no problem. Verse at me. For the darkness, the commandments of men. That again. How people bring you to worship me. Preaching for darkness, the commandments of men. See, it's vain. I'm thinking about the people who came up here with your questions about the Bible, with your questions, like the brother said. What do you want? I'm regurgitating something that someone else taught you that the Lord ain't even dealing with. Right? Understanding the wisdom and knowledge of this Bible comes by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. If you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, you have no understanding of this book. Okay? You have no understanding of. Let him speak. Be entitled to his opinion. Okay, Bring it again. It's Mark chapter 7, verse number 7. How big and vain do they worship me? So, if you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, as the brother keeps saying, he agree with us, he know the Lord, right? The man, I don't think the man got on no fringes. I don't know, right? The man got a cup in his hand, so it looks like he been biting on the Sabbath, right? So if I had to look at him, I would have to say that he's worshiping the Lord in vain, right? Teaching for instructions the commandments of men. Teaching, stay in order. Teaching for doctrines, right? The commandments of men, right? He wants me to give him a carnal, worldly, nigga man answer to his question. Because I gave him an answer with the Bible. He don't understand that, okay? The wisdom of the Lord is too hard for this man to understand. Right? So now his spirit is disrupted, his energy is bad. Now it's up, what's going on? Fuck that. Hold it down, right? You got it. Hold it down. I know you. So laying aside the commandments of men. So laying aside the commandments of God. He holds the tradition of men. He holds the tradition of men. Right? He's out here flying on the Sabbath. Right? Smoking cigarettes. Defiling his temple. This is how the Lord of the Lord can't resonate with this man's spirit. You won't stop smoking a cigarette. Okay? Defile temple. The Lord ain't dealing with him. Right? And the goddamn devil that inhabits him is mad right now because his ass thing got stabbed up with the word. Let him bleed out over there, man. Right? And you want some medical attention, keep this word up, man. And you'll heal. He holds the tradition of men as the washing of pots and cups, and many in a sense as the washing of pots and cups. Everybody out here got dishes at home, right? Those dishes, and then when you get through with your fine china, you throw it in the garbage. No. You wash your fine china and you clean it, and then the next meal you pulling it out again, right? What is the equivalent to that? We pay and then continuously doing the same thing over and over again, right? Never changing your way. Never coming into the understanding of the words of the Lord. I know the Lord. I got a personal relationship with the Lord, but now every day you sin against the Lord. And then you pray and ask the Lord to forgive you, and then you turn right around and do the same thing again, right? The washing of pots and cups, man. And many other such like things he do. And he said it to them. Oh, well, you reject the commandments of God. Oh, well, you reject the commandments of God. Right? You say you know the Lord, but yet you reject his commandment.
Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shemel Shabrakatah. The mighty brothers of HOI Chicago holding it down in the streets of Philadelphia before the Passover. A lot of demonic activity going on right there. You know what I mean? And there's demonic activity going on all around right now. Okay, so be on point in these last days. These demons are coming in all shapes and sizes, have all types of strange doctrine, and there's a whole bunch of mess coming with them. All right. But let's begin. Okay, let's start off with Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. Okay, there's a lot of things going on in the world, a lot of things taking place before Donald Trump becomes president. You know, before he even is sworn into office, he's already trying to establish dominance in the world by like taking over places that I didn't even think were for sale, like Greenland. Okay, and he also said he wants to change the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. He wants to take the Panama Canal. He's just like, he's unhinged right now, but perfect person to be in office during this time period we're living in. Let's get Isaiah chapter 19, verse 4. But before we even get that, let's watch. It's like it. Before we get to that, let's watch the video. You know, first and foremost, of course, all praise and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you know, double honors to our elders, holding it down, right? And Israel, just keep on going. Kwame Yashala, let's begin. Fair Use Act. This video is protected by the Fair Use Act. This is a teaching moment, a teaching lesson, so thus being protected by the Fair Use Act. So let's begin.
And Greenland is the world's largest island filled with beautiful icy landscapes. But could it become the 51st state of America? President-elect Trump said today that owning and controlling Greenland is a necessity. And today his son Don Jr. headed there on Trump Force One to scope it out. Stephen Fabian has more.
It's a MAGA invasion of Greenland. Donald Trump Jr. and a band of Trump loyalists landed on Greenland today to promote the president-elect's dream of turning the vast frigid island into the 51st state.
Just incredible scenery.
Greenland, located in the North Atlantic off the coast of Canada, has long been a Trump obsession. It's 3 times the size of Texas, but mostly covered in ice. A population, just 57,000 people. Don Jr. handed out MAGA hats and got his dad on the phone to address a group of locals at a restaurant in the capital, Nuuk.
We're going to treat you well. You know that. And just take care of yourself.
So, can Trump actually purchase Greenland? Not likely. It's a territory of Denmark. Greenland is ours, the prime minister declared. We are not for sale and will never be for sale. I spoke to American citizen Sarah Woodall. She now lives in Greenland. Is it upsetting to you to hear Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. say, oh, we're going to buy Greenland?
It is. The sheer notion of this, the fact that these words would even come out of someone's mouth in this day and age is absolutely unfathomable for me, and in my opinion, downright disrespectful.
But today, Trump doubled down. He really wants Greenland, and he's not ruling out military action or economic pressure in Greenland or the Panama Canal.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two.
That's not all he wants. He also announced that he plans to rename the Gulf of Mexico.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The Gulf of America. What a beautiful name.
Yes. So they're talking about you're not gonna be able to buy this. It's not for sale. He says, "Who's talking about money? I'm going to militarily take down on Greenland, Denmark, the EU, any other Edomite nation." You know what I'm saying? Which is amazing because he ran on the platform that he would be just getting the immigrants out or the migrants. Anybody came up to the United States illegally, you're going to get out of here. He ran on that campaign, and all his MAGA friends and loyalists were saying that's a great idea. You know, what I mean, let's get these people out of here, and we can go from there. But before he gets in office, he's like, "Yeah, oh, by the way, I'm only going to possibly militarily or economically, the stranglehold on Greenland, um, taking back the Panama Canal. You know what I'm saying? It's ours now. Oh, in Canada, he tweeted a picture in Canada that had it just as says the United States. There was no Canada. So this Edomite is he's a little bit touched. You know what I mean? He's going to the airwaves to let people know Hitler 2.0 is in full effect. You know what I'm saying? So all praise to the Most High. Why would you have anybody else that had any level of discernment or any type of brain capacity in these last days? They will do right by the entire world, but we're not in that time period. We're in a time of destruction and judgment. So you got Trump in office, and he's going to tell you everything he's thinking. Let's get Isaiah chapter 19, verse 4. And the Egyptians will I give over to the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. So, you thought you had friends, you know what I mean? You might be Canadian, like, yeah, MAGA, he's down to get these, to drain the swamp and, he's making America great again. He's gonna make Canada great again. You know what I mean? He's like, yes, I am gonna make Canada great by erasing this imaginary line. You know what I mean? No borders. So the funny part about it is you can go back at least 10 years, definitely more. Slovakia. You go back at least 10 years, maybe 20 years, right? When they're talking about the new ID, the real ID, and it's going to be coming out, and if you don't do what you're supposed to do, they're going to shut off your ID. People were calling that the mark of the beast, and also saying that is the North American Union, I believe, North American Union. Looks like having the European Union, African Union, the European, I mean, the North American Union was going to be the merging of America and Canada and Mexico. So this is coming from the so-called elites, the people that make these decisions at Bilderberg groups and places like Bohemian Grove and the Trilateral Commission. They all get together and make the news pretty much for the future, what's going to happen in the future. And one of the things they came up with was the North American Union and erasing the borders between Canada, United States, and Mexico. So Donald Trump just got in front of the world and said, yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase the border between United States and Canada. Somehow he's going to probably finagle his way down to Mexico as well. But America is so racist, they don't even realize that is a globalist agenda that he just put in front of their face. And they're like, why not? We'll get Canada. So yeah, let's get Canada. I like Canada anyway. Yeah, so open borders. Yeah, it's not going to be any borders. So all praise the Most High. He's psychologically destroying these people right in front of our face. All right, let's get Hebrews 12 and 28. Right now, it's psychological because, they think he's out to help them. He's going to drain the swamp. He's going to make America great again. He's the president for a reason. He didn't just walk in the door and, find his way through the back door to get into the presidency. He wasn't allowed to be president. Okay. But we'll definitely see what happens in the future, and we'll keep an eye on that. We'll be talking about him, I'm sure, a lot during these Wednesday lessons, because he talks a lot, and we're gonna be able to decipher what he's saying and what he's doing. Most High willing. All right. Well, let's start with he go to Hebrews 12, verse 28. Therefore, receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have grace whereby we may serve Yahweh acceptably with reverence and godly fear. And that's the aim. You know what I mean? Our kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom. Most High willing, we all make it in there. Coming from Babylon while it's being destroyed. Okay, and this kingdom's falling apart right in front of our face. Okay, verse 29: for our God is a consuming fire. So California right now, the acreage of scorched earth over there in California is growing exponentially. The Santa Ana winds, they said it's 100 miles an hour some places, 90 miles an hour other places, right? These hurricane force winds are blowing hot ambers of coal, right? It's all in the scriptures, all over, you know? Remember California, they talked about taking God out of the schools, or taking God out of California, not the schools, taking God out of California. They also had a campaign like against the homeless. They got a bad homeless population out there. And Gavin Newsom, the governor, was seen cleaning out a homeless encampment, like pretty much like, y'all can't sleep under this bridge. We get you out of here. He rolled up his sleeves and everything like that. Well, now everybody's homeless. You know what I'm saying? And that's the people that we're talking about. Talk to a brother from California. They say, hey, we cool over here. The ghetto is so dry. You know what I mean? So where he's living at, he's good. But where the Edomites were staying, not so much. They had beachfront property, you know what I mean? These $1 million houses in Malibu and all these right on the coast with the Pacific Ocean. They are now burnt to a crisp. You know what I mean? Think about it. They put all that money into their houses. Their front door made of oak from Brazil. I got this from the Amazon rainforest. And you see this picture. When I went to France back in 1984, that was, that's where I got this from. It's estimated so many blah 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 millions of dollars. That stuff is gone. That is up in smoke. You see all that smoke on a, if you look at a picture right now of Los Angeles, that smoke there, that's all that. That's the $1 million houses all burning in smoke. Most High has played no games. So when he says he's a consuming fire, I think we can all understand what he means. 100-mile-per-hour winds. And it's continuing. It's continuing. It hasn't stopped. So it is now, they said the place, the Slovakia. They said the fire, the certain fire that's the biggest one there is like 15. Right now it's 15,000 acres. They said 0% contained. So I don't know. Ain't doing too good. So let's watch this video.
We start the day's other headlines in Southern California, where residents are fleeing a fast-moving wildfire in the hills of Los Angeles. Fire crews are trying to contain the Palisades fire, which has exploded in size to more than 700 acres. Smoke from the blaze can be seen for miles, with traffic jammed up as locals try to flee the area. The National Weather Service is warning of life-threatening, destructive gusts of wind in the coming days that could whip up such wildfires even further. Forecasters say the windstorms could be the worst in a decade. In the meantime, a so-called polar vortex is bringing below freezing temperatures as far south as the Gulf Coast. The frigid air comes as millions in central and eastern parts of the country dig out from a winter storm that snarled roads and toppled trees. Washington, D.C.'s most significant snowstorm in 6 years shut down the federal government for a second straight day. And more than 175,000 people are still without power across the Midwest and Tennessee Valley. Forecasters say they may not see relief for days.
Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, those places aren't going to get above freezing until this coming weekend. So you have about 5 days or so or more of below freezing temperatures, and that means the ice and snow will not melt.
And there's another major winter storm brewing that could bring more snow and ice to the central and eastern U.S. and as far south as Texas. In western China, a devastating...
Well, we're not going to get too far. Okay. But so on the one coast, you have fire. On the other side, ice and snow. So it's kind of like fire on one side and deep water on the other. So you want to stay right in that straight and narrow. Okay. Let's continue. Let's talk about Tibet, though. Large earthquake happened in Tibet. That is where the Buddhists stay. Buddhist monks. They're in there meditating, and you got the rappers, Jay-Z, Dr. Dre. He said, "Meditate like a Buddhist." Well, I don't know who they're meditating to or who their God is, but it's not a God because the God of the other nations are no gods. And he showed them that with a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. I think how many? Maybe right now at this point, I think like 150 deaths so far. But of course they're updating it because it just happened. Okay, let's get Luke 21 and verse 11. Luke 21 verse 11, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places. And this is what we call definitely a great earthquake. A 7 point, anything in the sevens is a large earthquake. And famines and pestilences and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. Okay, and Tibet, China, that area, Moabites are reeling to and fro at this point, back and forth like a drunkard because of this large magnitude earthquake, accompanied by aftershocks.
News coming in, there have been earthquake tremors felt that have hit Nepal, parts of Bihar, and the belt, precisely. In fact, in Nepal, it is 7.1 on the Richter scale, and that's why it's concerning. We'll try and understand the depth of it as well. Massive earthquake tremors have been felt in Nepal, and then remember the belt that contains parts of Bihar as well. The epicenter has been in Nepal near Gokarneshwar. And let's hope that there hasn't been much damage. We'll try and get more details on what exactly happened. 7.1 magnitude on the Richter scale. Affected countries right now emerging: Bangladesh, Nepal, parts of India, Bhutan, China. So you can understand the belt that has been hit specifically, the Himalayan region that has faced the tremors at about 6:35 a.m. It has been felt. And let's just hope that, especially for Nepal, that has seen some very horrific earthquakes earlier in the past few years. Kumar Kunal joins me for the latest on that. Kunal, good morning. What are you hearing? What time did the earthquake hit? Which parts have faced perhaps higher on the Richter scale, and parts of India itself? Tell us more.
Actually, Pooja, earthquake came at 6:35 a.m. and it is quite a strong earthquake with a magnitude of 7.1 on the Richter scale, which is quite destructive. If we are talking right now, there is a very big population residing around the area. The epicenter is somewhere around on the Tibet-Nepal border, but very near to the eastern part of India as well. So tremors are being felt in Sikkim, in Northwest Bengal, Bihar, all the adjoining areas in India as well. Since the earthquake was quite strong, and reports are not coming right now in very detail that what kind of damage it could have caused. But we can expect as the day progresses, we will get more reports. And initially, it seems to be like a very destructive earthquake. So definitely, the reports will come with time.
Reminds me of 2015, Kunal, isn't it? Because that's when Nepal had heavily suffered. But let's just hope that it's not has not been damaging to people or property. You can look at the visuals. 6:35 a.m. Remember, most people sleeping, and it's a heavy winter season also right now. So it's the belt of China, Nepal, Bangladesh, and parts of India, especially in Bihar, even Delhi NCR. I hear that people have felt the tremors. We'll be tracking this.
Okay, so that's one story, right? Let me get another one with, more information.
Good evening.
Slovakia. Okay, here we are. Here's another same story, but just different perspective, different information.
Also following breaking news out of Asia, where a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake has killed nearly 100 people in the remote region of Tibet. According to Chinese state media, around 1,000 homes were damaged in the quake and over 100 people have been injured. A massive search and rescue operation is now underway to try to find survivors. Laura Bicker with our partners at BBC News is following the latest from Beijing.
Obviously, we are several hours on from this earthquake now. It happened at 9 in the morning in that, as you say, remote mountainous area. And now we are beginning to see the impact of that 7.1 magnitude quake. We are seeing on CCTV, which is the Chinese state broadcaster, many people being taken from underneath the rubble. Now, it does seem that rescuers have managed to reach the area despite its distance from any major city. They have managed to reach some of the worst hit areas, and the reason they've managed to do that is because the Chinese Air Force launched a drone, an unmanned drone, which it flew right over the Mount Everest National Park area to try to find the cities, to try to find the villages that have been most affected. Now, you can see my backdrop. I'm here in Beijing. You can see those tall buildings. That is not the case in those mountainous regions. These houses are low-lying. They're made of bricks, and you've seen them. Certainly, we've seen footage coming in. They've just collapsed, and they've fallen on people, and rescuers are combing through the rubble, trying to find survivors. We've also seen many people, elderly, children, out on the street being treated by both the army, by the police, and by rescuers themselves. Now, hundreds of people, hundreds of rescuers have been dispatched. President Xi Jinping announced this morning that he issued instructions to ensure that civilian casualties are at a minimum, and that those who have lost their homes can be at least housed somewhere warm and somewhere dry for the time being. That is going to be a challenge, because just as getting rescuers in there is going to be very difficult, it's going to be really difficult to get any aid trucks into these mountainous regions.
Okay. Slovakia. I don't know what that is. We'll get that cleared up. All right, so as we can see, judgment is taking place around the world. Okay.
Also,
all right, get back on track. Judgment is taking place around the world, and
it is
there is nothing that the heathens can do about it. That's pretty much what it comes down to, you know. It'd be a shame if a huge snowstorm would fall on Nepal right now, would damper efforts to dig people out of the rubble, and then Moab will really be howling. Okay, and that normally happens, you know. So we're gonna look into that, snowstorms or a massive downpour like what's going on in Mecca right now. Mecca, you see the cars floating through the streets because of the huge downpour over there. That's desert area, desert region, but not used to all that rain. But that could possibly happen in Nepal, in that area, and will hamper those efforts. And that you know, Most High, he's good for that. You know, he will definitely have them sit for a little bit before the rescuing begins, and just delay the inevitable of that death rate increasing. Okay, let's continue on. We got pestilence over there too. Seems like China just can't get it together when it comes to washing their hands or being a clean nation, because every time they have a call for a flu or something, it flies around the entire world and everybody gets sick. Right now, it's respiratory illnesses going on throughout this region that I know of. A lot of people are sick. I've seen I believe it was like a tweet that somebody said 80 to 90% of the people I know are sick right now. You know what I mean? So we got to look into that. If you're sick and you have been sick for a extended period of time, it seems like this sickness has been going on. It doesn't last. I mean, it's like it lasts a lot longer than, you know, normal colds or chest colds or whatever like that. I was dealing with that, still am dealing with that, so I can be a testament that that is the case. But pestilence is flying in all the four corners, and we're going to talk about China and other places in the next video. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 3 and verse 3. Block is put some incense. On that good incense. All right, Habakkuk. Chapter 3, verse 3. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran, Shalah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Okay, and Teman, you read Obadiah, Amos, talk about Teman and Basra. So chief areas of Edom. Okay, let's continue. And his brightness was as the light, and had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Okay, Yahushai is coming with rulership and power. Okay, verse 5. So verse 5. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. So the Most High is going to send his son back and in rulership destroy this place. And before him, pestilence. So let's get that. Let's talk about the pestilence that's coming before makers of heaven and earth get here.
All right, welcome back. The CDC says the country is dealing with high levels of respiratory illnesses. On the list, COVID, the flu, RSV. The agency estimates at least 3 million people have become sick so far this year. 11 states have high levels of respiratory illnesses. One state, New Hampshire, is reporting very high levels. Emergency room visits for all three viruses are trending up, with most of them for the flu. And doctors say it's still not too late to get vaccinated. That's the best way to protect yourself in the coming months. Talk to your parents, grandparents, and your doctors. Yeah. CDC also says norovirus cases are on the rise this holiday season. 91 outbreaks were reported nationwide during the week of December 5th. That's roughly 2 dozen more compared to the last week of November last year. But the numbers don't tell the whole story because health departments aren't forced to report cases of norovirus. So we really don't have great numbers. Meantime, norovirus is the top cause of foodborne illness with roughly 2,500 outbreaks reported each year. And it is bad. It's yucky.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Actually, we do need reporting, good reporting on this, so we can give you a number and tell you where it's stronger and higher.
This morning, medical experts are warning about a norovirus outbreak hitting several states. The CDC reports more than 90 cases confirmed in the first week of December alone. That's more than double the cases we've seen that same week over the last 3 years.
According to the CDC, the super contagious norovirus is spreading across the U.S.
And remember, with the norovirus, even if you're feeling better, you can still be contagious for up to 2 weeks after those symptoms first appeared. So make sure you keep track of when those symptoms occurred in order to help keep other people safe. As we know, this is a time when it's not just norovirus. You're also talking about COVID, RSV, and flu that's on the rise on it.
Boy, sounds pretty miserable. Stay healthy, my friend. Thank you.
You too.
Joining us now, infectious disease physician and founding director of Boston University Center on Emerging Infectious Diseases, Dr. Naheed Bhadelia. Thank you so much for being here, doctor. As Shaq just laid out, norovirus isn't new this time of year, but these numbers are pretty staggering, almost double what we've seen in recent years. How do you explain it? Why so much worse this year?
Yeah, I want to begin by underscoring what Shaquille said, which is that this is highly contagious. I mean, it takes very few viral particles to transmit this, and this kind of runs through like wildfire in communal living spaces and nursing homes and cruises. This is why you're seeing such a rise. And within families, it becomes harder too. So that transmissibility, the contagiousness adds to it. But if I were to guess, I think there are a couple of reasons that I can imagine why. One, there's always a surge in the winter. It's possible that we haven't seen as high numbers in recent years because we weren't mingling as much for a few years during the pandemic. And, now we've changed our behaviors. Potentially, we're not being as vigilant as we should be with washing our hands, disinfecting surfaces. And second, maybe because we haven't had as many outbreaks, potentially we don't have as much immunity to some of the strains that are transmitting. Those are some of the thoughts I could think of, but we don't have a definitive answer except for the fact that it's very contagious, but very easy to protect yourself.
I learned two things today about the norovirus. One, it's sometimes called the two-bucket disease or virus, and you can think about why that is in a second here. But also I learned hand sanitizer doesn't work against it. Why?
Right. Well, it's one of these viruses that has a certain coat on it that prevents it from being destroyed by things like alcohol-based hand sanitizers. And so the only way you can kill the norovirus is to wash down surfaces with bleach. It's really the only and the most effective way of killing it. This is a virus that can exist on surfaces, so make sure that if norovirus is in your home or your place of work, that you clean down the space around you as much as you can with some available bleach.
Yeah, man, I know some people have suffered through this in the last few days. It is nasty.
This morning, a holiday health warning as cases of the norovirus surge.
Norovirus decided to be our last little Christmas gift.
New data from the CDC shows an increase in outbreaks, with 91 reported in the first week of December across 14 states, more than double the number for the same week over the past 3 years.
Is there any reason why we're seeing this rise?
Gathering together, especially this time of the year, and all the traveling we're doing, that's causing the increases.
The highly contagious virus, commonly referred to as the stomach flu, can cause days of vomiting, gastrointestinal problems, and fever.
I promise you, you do not want this.
The recent rise comes as multiple states reported new infections in December. In Minnesota, health officials say the number of outbreaks are twice what they usually see. California officials also investigating an outbreak involving 80 people who became ill after eating raw oysters at a Los Angeles food festival. And on 3 different cruise ships operated by Holland America and Princess Cruises, more than 300 passengers contracted the virus. Norovirus can be spread through direct contact with an infected person, touching contaminated surfaces, or eating contaminated food.
If you have been sick with this, I'm sending you all my love because it's no joke.
Now, with millions expected to gather for New Year's Eve celebrations, health experts say it's important to take precautions.
You could still remain infectious to others for a couple days after.
So let's talk about what is causing this spike in cases. You said highly infectious. I mean, is it just, this is the time of year when everybody travels and sees people?
This is the time of year we typically see norovirus cases peak and sometime in the winter. With all the travel, the gatherings, I'm pretty sure I probably got it from one of my little nieces.
Oh, blame the niece on TV. Brutal.
Well, to be fair, this happens every holiday season. We end up with something going through the family. But little kids don't wash their hands as well. And so even if you're trying to be as meticulous as possible, sometimes it's really hard to prevent it.
I hate to be talking norovirus because lots of people seem to be suffering through this right now. What is it? And why are we seeing so many cases?
Right. So the CDC has put out data very recently showing that the number of outbreaks of norovirus has really dramatically increased. And so the number of cases we'll see increase actually throughout the country. This is typically a virus that spreads when people are in close quarters. And so lots of daycare centers, cruise ships, things like that, dormitories on college campuses are easy spreading grounds for the norovirus, which is really a very powerful GI virus.
The alcohol sanitizers don't really work for this. Be sanitizing any food preparation surfaces. And just realize, you may touch something not even realizing it's a contaminated surface. So be sure to wash your hands, not just after using the bathroom, but before eating.
Okay, good. All right, let's talk about respiratory viruses because the CDC is also reporting respiratory viruses high. That includes COVID, it includes RSV. What should we be doing? I mean, we know that obviously we were talking about it before. We had talked to a doctor prior, all these gatherings, we knew cases would be on the uptick, but what should people be doing?
Well, so flu, COVID, RSV, they're all increasing. They have not peaked yet. It is not too late to get vaccinated. I think that's really important to know. Everyone 6 months and older, age 6 months and older is eligible for both flu and COVID vaccinations. People who are pregnant or 60 years of age and older are also eligible for an RSV vaccine. And this is really the best tool you have to prevent these infections. Masks do work. And so if you're somebody who's immunocompromised, older, have underlying medical conditions, just want to play it safe, especially on public transportation, you may want to wear a mask.
I do want to ask you, because some people, they feel like they have peak symptoms one day, so they stay away from family. Maybe you're visiting, maybe they're masking, but then some of those preparations start to wane in the latter days. I don't know if you want to go by each one, but how long typically is someone contagious after contracting something like this?
Yeah, it can be days, sometimes even a week or two, depending on the infection. One way we know, at least with COVID, and probably this works pretty well for flu as well, is those at-home rapid tests. So now we have combo tests for both COVID and the flu. If you're still testing positive, you probably are still contagious. So that's one way to assess, like maybe you're going to go visit grandma in the nursing home. You should probably test if you've recently been sick to make sure you're not infectious.
I haven't seen those combo tests. That's a good pro tip. Dr. Slingounder, thank you so much.
All right. So, I mean, okay. Now, to be fair, a lot of that was the United States. China has a mystery illness that looking into, and they're not talking about it because China doesn't talk about a lot of things, but they have a mystery illness. Everybody over here is sick. I don't know. You tell me. Let's continue on. Let's go to Psalm 10 and verse 15. Slakia. This book of Psalm, chapter 10, verse 15. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. The Lord is king forever and ever. The heathen are perished out of his land. Okay, so with this situation, this is in Australia. A Edomite was surfing and he ain't find him no more. So what happened to him? Your guess is as good as mine, but they're saying that there were sharks seen in the area, and they found his board with like a shark bite in it, almost like a movie, like, we're looking for a clue, and like, oh, I found a clue. this shark bite is this big, and that means that shark was huge, and he ain't here no more. You know, but who knows? But let's continue on.
Good surfer and beautiful young man. That's how friends have described Lance Appleby, who is tonight missing after being taken by a shark off a notorious beach near Streaky Bay on the west coast. A desperate search has so far uncovered a damaged surfboard, and there is no sign of the much-loved victim.
On the ground, on the water, and from the air. Emergency crews searching for 28-year-old Lance Appleby. Last seen at the beach locals call Granites just before 7 o'clock last night.
We were cooking dinner and saw a lot of emergency vehicles driving down towards the beach.
Witnesses raised the alarm when they saw the victim being attacked by a shark before disappearing. A friend went searching for him on a jet ski, but found only his board.
By the time he got there, the board was 1,500 metres offshore, and he found the board with half a leg rope and a bite mark in the bottom of the board, which affirms that it was a shark attack.
What type of shark is not yet clear, but earlier in the day there had been concerns about a great white.
In the morning, a local fisherman went out to pull his cray pots and found that one of his pots had been moved 500 metres and had been crushed.
Jeff Schmucker issued a warning on social media saying there is an aggressive great white very close to Granites. Around the same time this video was shared, a shark seen close to shore at nearby Scale Bay. Despite the concerns, the Granite waves were still heaving.
By lunchtime, there was 30 people in the water. The surf was pumping.
One of 7 children, Lance Appleby, had grown up in nearby Streaky Bay. In recent times, he'd moved away for work, but he was home for the Christmas break.
Beautiful young man and loved the ocean and a great footballer. He's a very competent surfer too. I watched him grow up surfing, and it wasn't long before he was, riding deep in the barrels.
It's unclear whether Lance was aware of the warnings issued earlier in the day, but Jeff says, like most local surfers, he knew the risks.
Yeah, the surfing bug grabs you and it'll drive you to, to go to great lengths to catch a wave, that's for sure. And that's what the young fella was doing and everybody else that was in the water at the time.
Yeah, really thinking of his family and his friends and all his loved ones.
Locals say the attack has brought back horrific memories from last October when another surfer was taken from this same beach. A search for 55-year-old Todd Gendel located only his surfboard and a piece of wetsuit. Police say they will consider what can be done to prevent further tragedies.
We'll prepare a report to the coroner outlining the circumstances of this incident, and just like the other incidents that reports have been prepared for the coroner as well, and we'll see what comes of that.
Jeff Schmucker says something should be done to better protect those who use the water, but he doesn't believe culling is the answer.
The sharks need to be left alone, but what we can do is to develop a program where we can tag the sharks with vessel monitoring systems or animal monitoring system.
The beach was closed today, but it's not expected to be long before surfers return.
These events push people out of the water, but there's people that want to surf and there's no one around. So, and have that sanctity of being in the ocean alone and the thrill of it.
Sometimes it's best to listen to the locals, and but at the end of the day, people need to make up their own minds in relation to enjoying the ocean.
Dozens of locals have visited this lookout today to pay their respects. Lance was known by many, having grown up in Streaky Bay, then spending most of his adult life in Port Lincoln, where he was a huge part of the football and golfing communities, before recently moving to Queensland for work. As for the scene, the latest here is that the search has concluded for the night, but it will resume at first light tomorrow.
Yeah, just another tragedy there. Inga Nielsen, thank you.
Yep.
US
Yeah. Yes. So that young man,
Good evening.
he's a footballer. He was back from holiday or something like that, And he got eaten by a shark. And he's like, all right, he got attacked by a shark. Well, his body never came back. You know what I mean? Like the other guy that was 55, they haven't found him. You know where he's at? He's in the belly of a shark. You know, we're talking about before. There was over there in California, a woman got eaten, mauled by dogs. You know, and I was thinking to myself, okay, you get bit by a dog, that hurts. You get mauled by a dog, that really hurts. But getting eaten alive by a shark, that has to be on the top ways of like, it's a tough way to die. You know what I mean? Now we got to think about this in the kingdom. Most High willing, we all there. You might have a Shark Tank. You know what I mean? Not the Shark Tank where you go in there and give your ideas, but like literally a Shark Tank, and you know, have the Edomites swim to the other end and see if you know who can who will make it. You know, just meditating terror. Let's continue. So the teeth of wild beasts took out the Edomite from Australia. Now let's see what's going on over here. You know, you have this these churches, right? Let's get Acts 7:48. You have these churches that, you know, say that they know God and, you know, the law's done away with. You know, well, I don't think if they're, you know, on that type time, does God really need those churches? I mean, you're not really doing your job, you know, telling the people who they are and spreading the good news. All good news that they have is that Sister Clara has some ham hocks downstairs in the basement after church is over. You know, oh, and Sister fill in the blank has crab cakes, you know, and seafood salad. Well, I don't think God needs this place. Let's go to Acts chapter 7:48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. That's in Isaiah 63. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. That's like it. And what house will ye build me, saith the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? All right. So now, church is burning up. And listen to Jake. Jake is all about, he goes on you know, I started in the choir. He worked his way up to the top. You know what I mean? It's pretty much like his job. You know what I mean? Now I'm the deacon. I'm almost the CEO, and this is what happens. Then like it might have hit him like, oh, it's kind of selfish. I'm thinking about myself and my jobs here. But yeah, the church, you know, thank goodness nobody's hurt, and you know, we'll always rebuild. That's Christianity for you, though. Don't know and don't want to know, for the most part. Let's continue.
And we begin with breaking news. A Montgomery County church is devastated by fire, and the investigation is underway into how it started. Fire crews have been on the scene much of the evening at the Faith Tabernacle House of Prayer along the 500 block of DeKalb Street in Norristown. No word of any injuries, but the damage is extensive and a neighborhood is in disbelief. Action News reporter Leland Pinder is live at the scene now with the very latest. Leland.
Well, Rick, I can tell you, I just talked to the fire chief and he confirms there are no injuries, but the firefight is still ongoing right now. You see the church behind me still standing, but on the inside, the damage is extensive. Take a look at the response here. We have more than 100 firefighters from across Montgomery County rotating in and out to fight these flames under these harsh conditions. It's cold, it's windy, water is freezing. Again, thankfully, no injuries have been reported, but this congregation now in need of a new place to worship.
It's a stubborn fire right now, right? We still don't have it under control.
Video shows the moments the first fire truck arrived on the scene of a fire at Faith Tabernacle House of Prayer in Norristown. It's a place church deacon Paul Owens has called home for many years.
I was born and raised in this church. I started off as a musician, to choir director, to ordained deacon, and was moving up in the ranks. But this is just... that don't matter. Just to see this building like this right now is very depressing.
The fire would eventually spread, causing major damage throughout the historic church.
There's heavy fire still
throughout the building. Firefighters ultimately called a defensive effort because conditions inside deteriorated so rapidly.
Right now, there's zero visibility up in that second floor.
Dozens of firefighters were called to the scene for a second alarm. The historic building had once been a library and served other uses before becoming a church.
We just remodeled in there, trying to get everything together, and this is just a bad setback.
Officials haven't said how the fire started, but some church members indicated it may have started in the kitchen area. Witnesses reported hearing a loud pop before the flames.
That's what happens cooking that daggone pork. You know what I mean? Started in the kitchen. Most High said, what's that, crab cakes down there? Yeah, set a fire.
Officials say there were people inside at the time of the fire, but they evacuated safely.
As long as no one is hurt and they get the fire out and everybody is safe, this is okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what's important. But right now you're seeing those flames that continue to burn inside the building as firefighters are working so hard right now to get this fire under control and knocked out. Again, they have been on the scene now for several hours and the fight continues. Now, cause for the fire not determined right now. That part of the investigation is not even started. The focus right now is just getting this fire knocked out and the flames under control. But for now, live here in Norristown, Leland Pinder, Channel 6 Action News. Rick.
All right, so, you know, that's what happened in Norristown. That's Norristown, Pennsylvania. Okay. Now let's come a little bit closer to home in Philadelphia. Yesterday, driving and seeing two chariots in the sky, right? Just sitting there, you know what I mean? Didn't like no satellites, didn't look like no airplanes, didn't look like a planet, didn't like a star. It looked like two chariots sitting in the sky, just not moving anywhere. So took out my phone, filmed it. You can see it started at the beginning. You can see the windshield just dirty and everything because it snowed around here, and windshield should have been cleaner, but that thing is pretty grimy. But I wiped it off and started filming it while not recommended, but I was focusing on the road. And I got a pretty good shot at it. And they were standing there, not moving. And then another one came over and it would look like it made a triangle. You know what I mean? A triangle type craft. But I'll let you determine whether it was, or I just happened to stop it at the right time where it looked like a triangle. You can make the decision for yourself. But very personal. Like I was meant to see it, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things going on in the skies. You got to keep your eyes on them, you know what I mean? Keep your eye on the prize. Don't let anything knock you off your square. It's easy because the devil is is working overtime, hopping on various groups of people and causing a lot of havoc, you know what I'm saying? But know for what it is. Don't be ignorant of his devices. Just trying to cause division as usual. All right, let's get Psalm chapter 68 and verse 17. The chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. The Most High is, the angels, they travel, you know what I mean, in the chariots, Thou hast ascended on high. Thou hast led captivity captive. Thou hast received gifts for men, yea, for the rebellious also, that the Lord God might dwell among them. Now, of course, seeing a chariot, oh, wow, it's beautiful. Look at that. It's a chariot, da-da-da. But you got to keep in mind, sometimes those are the last things that people see. That could be a warning saying, get it together, flip the script. Don't do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? So we got to keep that in mind in these last days. You see something in the sky, oh, I made it. I'm in the kingdom. It's like, I'll give it an association like the mob, going to get made, I'm be a made man. And you walk into the room like on Goodfellas and Joe Pesci, you know what I mean? Gets his head blown off. you know? So it's either it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? But definitely, regardless, we don't know which one it is, you know, unless you get, you know, a telepathic download or something like that. You know what I mean? But you see something like that, make sure, you know, reevaluate. You know what I mean? Examine yourself and see if you are on the right track. Okay, where was I? 18, 19. Blessed be the Lord who daily loaded us with benefits, even the God of our salvation, Salah. He that is our God is the God of salvation, and unto God the Lord belongeth the issues from death. He deals with death. So, you know, focusing and, you know, reevaluating things is always important. Let's watch the video. Very dirty windshield. Had to clean that thing off real quick. Those two right there. They're not moving. You see in the left, it's hanging out. So much that now. They plays, they're not moving. Starters. One on the left looks like it makes a triangle.
Also following break.
Okay, so that was that. Happened yesterday. So plenty of things in the sky, you know, and plenty of activity on the ground wherever you go. You know, California's burning, and they have no water there, even though it's on the coast. The Pacific Ocean's right there. They have no water. All those million-dollar houses, multi-million-dollar houses, they cannot put the fires out because there is no water. God is great and terrible. Repent and come back to the law, statutes, commandments. I'm going to close out in prayer. I'll ask you a couple seconds to gather yourself, face the east, prostrate, however you want to pray, and we'll close out. This is the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malapaka, Daba'a, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Baratazah, Kawa, Haya, Bashemayim, Natananawa, Lakham, Kau, Yowam, Wasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Kasalaf Nawa, Kabawaf Nawa, Wala'a, Dabi Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashai Mayan, Rai, Paya, Laka, Hamalakwaf, Wa Allah, Wa Taparaf, Lai Wilumnum. Amen. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Can all praises. All right. Keep going. Last days. You got snow and ice on this side. You got fire on that side. And Lord knows what's happening in the middle. All right. To stay on the straight and narrow. Stay focused. Don't be distracted by all the distractions that Satan is dishing out. Stay focused on the bigger picture. There's UFOs in the skies. There's war on the horizon. Iran said they're going to strike Israel, or they're going to do something. They're talking again. So we'll see what happens. Trump says that he's probably going to bomb Israel. Trump's going to militarily, you know, grab Canada, Greenland, Panama Canal, and whatever else you can think of. So, Hitler 2.0 is in the building. These are the last days. Stay focused. Almost home. Kwame Ashala. Shalom.